Hey there, this is K4A, Knowledge for All educational videos and tutorials. In today's video we are going to try to learn how and when to use GameMaker Studio drag and drop block, which is called Restart Room. This block is very similar to one we have learned before, game restart game. The only difference is that this one restarts the room, the level which we are playing currently, and not the whole game. So again, you use this block only when you want to restart specific one level, one room, one scene, not the whole game. And in our game so far we have couple of levels, couple of rooms. The first room is where the white square player is collecting coins, and there are some red triangles falling from the ceiling. The second room is again couple of coins to collect and some blue boxes on the top, so it's only just to show two different levels. They are not very complex, or they don't have some complex story behind them. In this video I have already added a couple of these skull objects, and so far they don't have any code in it. I've already made a video how on this blog how I started creating this sprite and so on, but I had some problems with recording it, so I'm doing it again now. And the whole idea here was to make some simple skull object with a white circle as a skull, white square as a jaw, and then black details like circles for eyes, squares for teeth, and that's it. So if you need to recreate it yourself. Okay, so I'm going to use this obj skull, and I'm going to use, first of all, I will try to use this new block restart room with key button press. I will use key pressed, maybe enter. I think we haven't used that one before, so in events click on add event, key pressed, and then choose the one you want. I have chosen the enter key, and then go to this window where you should find the drag and drop block, and scroll down to rooms blocks. That is the group of blocks which helps us code the rooms, so it's always it's all the way to the almost at the end. Yeah, here it is. So go to room, go to next room, previous, restart. This one is the one we want, restart room, and the explanation says restarts the current room. It is like some kind of recycle sign on it. So click and drag it in your coding area, and there is no any option in it, no checkboxes, no fields, no to fill with some values. You can just pick here a couple of different options: self, other, all, and objects. I think it will work with default options, so I'm not going to change anything. So in my case here so far, what I have coded now, I have coded that when I press the key on my keyboard, which is enter, my room will restart. So let me try that in action. Okay, so I will try to collect a couple of coins with my player, then I will press enter and see what happens. Okay, so I'm collecting the coins, cool. I can go over this skull, nothing happens. So when I press enter now, the room has restarted. and again you can see how coins were recreated. I will collect all of them now, and also red triangles are recreated on the top of the room. And I can press this as many times as I want, and it will always go back to the start. Okay, so this doesn't make much sense for our game in terms of gameplay, so I will instead maybe try to make this skull an deadly enemy which will restart the room when the player touches it. So when those two collide, restart the room. And we will have some problems, I think, with it. So, but let's see first how to add the code. So I want to check the condition if the skull is colliding, if it hits the player, the object 2. So go to events, add event, collision, objects, obj player 2, because that's how I have named this white square on the screen in my case. Okay, so when the obj player 2 touches the obj skull, do what? Same as here, restart the room. So click and drag and drop it. So let's try to see what will happen now. I think it will work, but it will work with some kind of glitches because some other features we have added before. So this is why I want to this is why I try to show a couple of examples as much as possible, as fast as possible, and to for you to understand that there is no like some kind of magic solution or one for all solution, but the more complex your game grows, the more features, mechanics you add, the later code will also be influenced with it. So the more code you add, it will depend on previous code and so on. So it will become more and more dependent on the previous code and previous complexity. So in this case, for example, I have collected all the coins, so now I touch this guy here, the skull, and now my game freezes. Is it crashed? Is it freezed? Let me try to press the left arrow again a couple of times, so just hold it, and yeah, it works. It restarted the game, but somehow for a split of a second it was freeze. Let me try with this one. Same thing. So I have touched this skull, although here it looks it's a little bit of the collision mask, because the collision mask doesn't follow the skull precisely, but nevertheless the game is freezed, so I have to touch some keyboard key for movement, left, right, up or down again, and now the game restarts. So yeah, we have the skull restarting the game when I touch it, but the problem is my game is freezing now. So again, why is that happening and how to solve it? Yeah, that happens in my concrete example because my obj player 2 object player 2, the player character, is persistent. That means it will stay the same in as many levels, as many rooms as we have. It will always be on the screen. Once you created it, and we have created it first time here in level 1, it will also be visible in level 2. Although we don't have it here, it will be visible because it's persistent. It's like permanent. That means permanent. So we made it permanent in level 1, and it will be permanent also and visible in room 2, room 3, 4, whatever. How many, as many rooms as we have, it will always be on the screen. But in this case, that makes us problem, this persistent checkbox. Why? Because when I touch this skull here like this, what GameMaker is doing now, he's saying, okay, restart the room, recreate all the coins all the stuff here, all the triangles, but also this guy here, white square. Why? Because we have created it here. When the room starts, we said, okay, we need a white square here. Okay, so he tries to recreate that one and to put it here back on the position, starting position here. But at the same time, we are sending the signal here. Okay, but my square is persistent, so always he should be always on the screen. That means he is here, he's always on the screen, don't move him here. So we are sending two different signals to GameMaker, one with this guy here, which says, okay, we have a collision, restart the room, move this square here, and that is the first thing we tell to GameMaker. And the second thing is, okay, but my white square, the player, is persistent, so always be visible on the screen where the last position is, and last position is here, so don't move him. The one order says move the square to the position here because we're restarting the game, and the second order says don't move it because it's permanent, it will always be on the screen where it is currently. And that confuses the GameMaker, so we have to decide, either we want the first one to restart the room and the room restarts with this guy here in the middle, or the second order we want the persistent. I will for now go with the first one because we have seen the second choice, persistent, and it freezes the game. So now I will uncheck it to see now how the game will restart with OBJ skull touching. So I think now when the white square touches the white skull, it will go back to this first position. So try to remember where the white square is now at the start. It is below this top skull and in the middle, somewhere around the middle. So when I touch the white skull, it should go back to the starting position, simple as that. And it happens instantly. You see how it goes. So now it works. So now this code works as it's supposed to, but again we have another problems. Yeah, that's how game development works. You fix one thing and you broke something else, or it doesn't work. Maybe it's not broken, it just need more code, more attention. For example, I see a couple of things here. You see how my score is 35 now. I have collected all the coins, so when I lose my life by touching this skull, it goes to 0. I don't want to do that. I want to restart the level but keep the score, so I will have to code that some way. Also, another problem which I have here is that when I want to go to room number 2, the level 2, and we have coded that before with go to room code, what will happen now when I touch this door on my right? So far it worked fine because we had persistent permanent player character on the screen, but now because I have unchecked the persistent checkbox, now my player will not be on the screen on the level 2 because it's not permanent. So when I go to level 2, great, level 2 is loaded, but there is no player in it, and that's how it's supposed to be, because we have unchecked the persistent. So my room 2, it doesn't have a player in it. I don't see it here. Do you see it? No, there is no player. The player was spawned here because earlier we said my player is persistent, so it's always on the screen once you create it. And now when I check it again, you can see how Now when I go to level 2 it will be on the screen, but now I will have the problems with room restart. It will freeze again, so it will, yeah, it freezes. So you have to, in this case, so far in this game, sorry, so far you have to pick the first or second choice. There is no middle ground or the best solution so far, because we haven't coded it yet. So again, this was an example on couple of levels to show you how your games can become more complex fast, and how you would have to code more stuff in it, more choices, more conditions. So here with my persistent player, which goes from room 1 to room 2, I will have to solve the problem of restarting the level when he touches the skull, or opposite, if I uncheck this persistent and this skull restarts room, okay, I will have the problem with the player not spawning, and we will solve some of those problems in some of the next videos probably, but the whole idea here was to show you one simple, relatively simple OBJ drag and drop blocks, sorry, restart rooms, which restarts one room, one level only, but also how that simple blocks can destroy your game if you are not careful enough. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you in next one. Bye for now.